Mr. Xanthus?
They're running plasma cutters to cut their material for their project they're making right now. It's a scary tree. Gets them to cut on pipe, cut on round stock, and then they're practicing arc welding or SMAW, shielded metal arc welding. They're covering their entire pipe, their arms, their base, and then welding it all together to make a tree for Halloween. So it gets them to practice a welding proficiency, but also create a project they can take home and enjoy.
So is it safety first is the most important thing with these students?
Always safety first. Safety glasses. I'm always alert. I got to have eyes in the back of my head. We're always listening. We're always watching. We go over safety at the beginning of the year and over every tool as we unlock it. I kind of make it sound like a video game. We hit levels of achievement as we learn new pieces of equipment. We have a living safety document that we fill out and kind of build on throughout the year. So as they take my class year after year after year, that safety builds. They don't ever start over. We just grow it and refresh. We're in about our 4th week in the shop right now. Next week we're going to be getting fume extraction. That's why it's so smoky in here. And it won't be after next week, which we're all very excited about. So we'll be able to suck up all the dust. When we arc weld, we create shielding gas, protects our welds, makes them look good. But it does create a gas. It's not poisonous, but we do need to ventilate. This shop originally had some ventilation. With the remodel, it was supposed to come in right away, but now we're getting it in a little later.
Can you explain what's happening at this first?
At the first area, we're using a process called plasma cutting. Okay, so we're creating plasma and directing it into the metal, cutting with heat. Okay, we're creating plasma, which is like kind of like I tell the kids, it's like the sun. The sun is a big ball of plasma, so we're creating a miniature sun and blowing it out, creating a plasma stream, almost like something out of Star Wars or Ghostbusters. And we're directing that to cut. Now they can draw whatever shape they want, cut whatever shape they want. Now they're doing a handheld operation, so it's cutting by hand. We have these 2 larger machines inside that cut with a computer controlling it. And that's how we're able to get some really fancy or intricate designs, signage, artwork, stuff you saw in my classroom. We can design those components and then cut them out with a machine, which is kind of teaching them more industry. Industry has gone very much away from handheld cutting towards computer-controlled cutting, unless you're in a small kind of mom-and-pop operation.
What's the grinding with the flares and everything on this side?
So also outside, what we're doing is we're grinding, we're removing material as well as cleaning up the welds as they do them. So we repurpose material. I don't have the money or the budget to give a kid an unlimited supply of metal. So we end up using a lot of the material my older students practice on. These guys then learn how to clean it up and weld on it again. We can cut it apart and weld it back together. Cut it apart. We can do that an infinite number of times with the same piece of material. So on the job out in pipeline welding or construction, just because a part comes out bad or a weld comes out bad doesn't mean we throw the part away. It means we clean it up and do it again. It's too costly to just throw away metal. We do recycle here, though, on site.
Can you go around the room and tell me what's going on with the students over here in the first side?
Yeah. So on that far wall, that's where we do all of that arc welding, shielded metal arc welding. So welding with electrical current, with electrodes. So they're burning rod and creating welds, and they're putting them right now on their trees or their grade weld plates. They had to do some grade weld plates before they unlocked doing the tree. And they're essentially padding a tree. So they're covering it with welds, overlapping those welds to look like bark, and putting their arms on. So we have it kind of shielded or protected with these shades. The new exhaust system's going to have, it's going to be all part of the whole thing. So it's going to be really slick if you come in here in 2 weeks. It's going to look totally different. I'm really excited. It'll be red shades instead of yellow shades, which I like red. So we have 8 booths over there. Those students are doing that. Now later in the year, we'll do gas welding and gas cutting over there. So that area kind of serves multiple purposes. This whole shop is very interchangeable. Everything's on wheels because based on the projects, the products that we're trying to build, because we're very community-based, we're always looking for outside input of things we'd like made. If you wanted a gate made, if you wanted something made, we're here in the community to do that. In this shop, a lot of things are happening at once. It's never just, we're just working on one project and only one project. I have younger and older students in most of my classes, which I like. We get a lot of cross training. We get a lot of older students training younger students. Kind of another set of eyes for me. The young man doing stuff with the horseshoes, he's making kind of some metal art. The deal was, with me, if he made one for me, he gets to take one home for free. That's kind of how we work it out. We have a big auction in the spring where we're going to sell 40 to 50 metal and woodworking projects to help raise money for our program, help pay for supplies, pay for us to go on trips. We take students all over the state and compete with our ag mechanics projects. In the last couple of years, we've taken everything from benches, swings, bucking chutes, panels, livestock equipment, tractor equipment, and we compete with those pieces, and then we sell them, or they go to whoever wanted them built in the first place. So he's building some horseshoe stuff, kind of metal art, which is an important component. A lot of these kids maybe don't live out in the country, or they don't have the financial means to make a lot of stuff, but they have a lot of desire, a lot of interest, a lot of passion, and so we try and come up with ways to give them outlets, things they can make money at. That's what I always try and sell the project. The skills and the tools you have access to allow you to make money. I'm here almost every day after school. Yesterday I had about 10 kids show up after school. Like I'm kicking them out the door. They don't want to leave, which I love that. I think that's great. Sometimes also I'll help with some older students that maybe graduated. They need a little extra training. I'll work with them a little bit after school or on the weekends to help get them ready, say, for a welding test or something that they're going to apply for a job. The larger component that's on the table over here, and when we have these two already set up, this is the bases. These are the bases of the fume extraction system that's going to be going in. We were going to get charged a lot more money to build these, and I was like, hey, I got the metal, I got the kids, I got the time, we'll build it. So instead of us incurring a bigger financial cost, we're making them. Plus the kids get to be part of that whole leaving a legacy, building some equipment for the shop. So that's what two of my students are kind of finishing up for next week, because it'll be here on Tuesday. So these will get moved over, and they will mount to the units that are coming. And then the tables that are over there right now will go inside of them. Okay, so some larger plates than these, and it's actually for the purpose of the project, I'm starting to jig up. This is called a fixturing table, so we can fixture our material so we can do lots of repeatability or very accurate work. It's very common in big industry. Like right now we have a gate set up, and we can look at an example one over there that's already been put together. We also did panels, but it allows us to make 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 20, 100 things all identical. Now, the student building these bases is doing the exact same thing, but in an older style where we're just welding stops onto tables. So you don't have to have an expensive table. It shows them both ways that you can fixture and create setups to make your life easier so you don't have to measure as much. Metal's really forgiving that we can cut it short, we can weld another piece on. Wood, not that way. All right, you got to measure twice, cut once, always. Even with metal, measure twice, cut once. We want to minimize those mistakes. So he was drilling the plates that'll go on the top of this, and there will be a wooden table. The wooden table that's on the sawhorses right now is going to go on this, and this will be a grinding station table. So it'll be a table that'll be able to go outside. It has all our stationary grinders on it, so all that grinding, all that loud stuff, messy stuff, is done outside. If you can't tell already, the acoustics in here are not ideal. So it is. We try and get all the loud operations outside whenever possible. Hopefully someday maybe we'll build some homemade acoustical panels or something. I've been in shops that we could have a conversation without the mic at a quiet level, and kids could be pounding away on material. It is possible. We don't have any windows. We don't have any wood in here. It's a big speaker box.
Now, is working with this metal and wood and all the machines and everything and sparks flying everywhere, is this your lifelong passion, or how did you get started in something like this?
So I have an agricultural background. I grew up on a ranch showing livestock. I took shop classes when I was in high school. The scary tree that we're making, and hopefully we'll get some good shots of those, of the finished ones even. It's not my project. I have to owe it to my high school shop teacher. He wasn't an ag teacher, but he was my welding teacher, Mr. Hansen. He's retired from, he's in California, but he kind of inspired me a lot. I took those classes in college. I really wanted to be an engineer for a while, but then I really found teaching is something I really enjoy, especially shop. It's different every day. The problems we're solving, the projects we're creating, the things we're building, it's not repetitive in here. I mean, yes, we're always going over the same safety or learning the same tools, but it's how we apply them. And so we're very product-based. We don't just learn theory, we apply it. We learn the tools and the equipment, and we apply it. And all these things are equitable in terms of job skills, soft skills. The projects that we take to those shows, they have to do a binder, presentation. They get interviewed. So they're learning other valuable soft skills than just how to build it. They're learning how to interact with the public, how to interview, how to market themselves. But I fell into it at UC Davis. Somebody encouraged me to go into ag education. I tried it. I loved it. It's been 10 years now, 5 years in California, 5 years here in Texas. Are there days where you're like, man, I don't know? Sure. There are days where I'm like, I don't know. But at the end of it all, you love it. I'm here for the kids. I'm not here for the paycheck. I've thought about administration before, but I would miss this. I'd miss being that teacher for that kid. I get a lot of kids that maybe people see in a different light. For me, they're the hardest workers I've ever seen. My ability then to help motivate that kid to get through high school. And I've had those already. Kids where they show up and they say, this is the reason I come to school. And I'm like, well, you need to get graduated too. That's important. That's why I want you here. And I have some boys that any chance they can get out of class, or girls, and they're down here. And I love that. I really love that they want to be here and they want to make stuff.
So do you see this as a way for kids to get off the streets and come in here and get their hands dirty?
Sure, absolutely. It's something that we, and the fun thing too is we apply a lot of stuff that they're learning they don't realize. Math especially, geometry. I help a lot of kids out with their math homework. Just because all of a sudden now they're understanding why we're learning Pythagorean theorem, why we're learning geometry, why we need to know about coordinates and grids, because we're doing that. We're using that to create what we want. Why we're checking for square. The student building these, he'll go back and forth and double and triple check things so that it is square, but we're using some mathematical properties and rules in order to verify that.
I noticed he was over there, measuring 2 or 3 different times. I was like, okay, yeah. He's using the old adage, measure twice or 2 or 3 times before you cut. So, do you see the light come on in their eyes once they actually see, oh, this is why I was learning math in so-and-so's class?
Absolutely. And it happens at different ages. Kids are all different levels of, kind of maturity and development and growth. Some of them it turns on their senior year. Some of it turns on their first year. These guys are getting ready. We're going to go over measurement, how to read a tape measure. And that's fearful for some people.
Can you teach me?
I can teach anyone. My principal's a little challenging. He's like, he hates reading a tape measure. So, you can go all your life and struggle with it, and that's okay. There's adaptations. There's tricks. We don't always have to know everything, even if it's counting tick marks. Well, that's a technique for some people. So we're going to be going over measurement. We hand draw our drawings, and then we learn how to draw them on the computer, which is another applied kind of thing that they can then take to a job. Start out, maybe get into engineering. Don't necessarily have to go to college. That's the big thing, too. With all these skills they're learning, they don't necessarily have to go to a 4-year university. They could go just get some training right outside of high school at a technical school, but even then, not necessary. So we have a tool out there called the iron worker, and when it cuts out a piece of angle iron, it removes a slug of material. And we just took those slugs that normally you'd scrap, throw away, not keep, and I can't claim this is me. This was I challenge all my older students at the end of the year. We kind of take a lot of scrap metal, nuts, bolts, whatever we have around the shop, put it all out on the table, say, what can you make with this? Can you make something that you could sell? And one year, I think it was like my 4th year teaching, I had a bunch of boys, and they got some stuff together, and they're like, oh, it looks like a Christmas tree. Now, this is a more 3-dimensional one. I have more of a 2D one over on the shelf, which was the first iteration, and then we got a little more creative. And then we got the art teacher involved, or some art kids, get it painted. I've had a kid make kind of a scene. So this little inspirational item can inspire bigger items. I have one boy right now, he's going to go start working, hopefully, for a local construction company, and he didn't go to any kind of technical programming. I had a young lady, my first year, she graduated through the program, and she got picked up by the construction company that was doing the remodel here. And now she's getting trained to be a certified welder through them without having to go to a welding program first. But applying what she learned, she built a really beautiful her and her partner built a really beautiful picnic table out of metal. And did really well. So,
Mr. Xanthus, I like Mr. X better. Can you hold up your hands for me to the camera? Make sure you get a good picture of that. You see, this man actually knows what he's doing. I mean, he may have a nick or scrape. Keep holding him up there. All of his fingers are there. He still has all his facial hair and everything, so he knows what he's doing. Safety first, everybody. Thank you, Mr. X.